Code 6. Newly appointed warriors will keep a silent vigil for one night after receiving their warrior name. Being a warrior isn't just about catching prey and fighting other clans. It's about being part of a tradition that stretches back longer than any cat can remember, and one that will last for all the moons to come. It was River Clan Medicine Cat who learned at the time when every cat realizes this most is when they are first given their warrior name and become responsible for the safety and survival of their clan. A night of listening. Metal Pelt, we need you! Metal Pelt put down the willow stick he was shredding and wove his way between the pale yellow stalks that shielded his den from the rest of the camp. It was Greenleaf, and for once the ground under Paul was dry and dusty rather than pooling with water. Several other River Clan cats were in the clearing, looking anxious as their clanmates crackled nearer. Suddenly the reeds rattled together, and a small black Tom burst out. "Snake-tooth is hurt!" he yelled. "What happened, Mole Whisker?" "What happened, Mole Whisker?" Troutstar demanded. Just then 2 more cats appeared with a third propped between them, his dark brown head lolling and one of his hind legs trailing uselessly behind. Troutstar glanced over his shoulder. "Metal Pelt, take over!" Metal Pelt ran forward to take a look at his latest patient. This wasn't the first injury he'd treated. This wasn't the first injury he'd treated among these young warriors in the last moon. Mole Whisker had ripped out one of his claws trying to jump across the river, and Lightning Pelt, a light brown tabby with a distinctive white streak down her back, had nearly poked out her own eye chasing through the thickest part of the reeds. Every day the warriors seemed to come up with yet another competition to discover who was the strongest, fastest, or most mouse-brained, Metal Pelt thought crossly. Lightning Pelt and Metal Pad laid Snake-tooth on the ground in the middle of the clearing. Metal Pelt studied the twisted leg, noticing the way the snapped bone jutted out beneath the skin. There was a chance Snake-tooth would never walk without a limp. "What was it this time?" Metal Pelt sighed. Climbing one of the great oaks, Snake-tooth muttered through gritted teeth. "I won." "You should have seen him," Lightning Pelt burst out. "He practically climbed onto a cloud." "If I had seen him, I wouldn't have let him do something so utterly mouse-brained," Metal Pelt growled. "When will you learn to stop showing off and start putting your clan first? At this rate, there will be no warriors left by Leaf Bear." Lifting his head, he looked around and spotted Oakpaw, whom he was thinking of taking as his apprentice. "Oakpaw, fetch me some poppy seeds, will you?" Oakpaw ducked his head and ran to the den quickly, returning with several tiny black seeds stuck to his forepaw. "Lick these up," Metal Pelt told Snake-tooth. He turned back to Oatpaw. "Help me carry him into the den. He'll need to stay here tonight." Moonlight filtered through the reeds, striping the floor of the medicine cat's den with sharp, thin shadows. Metal Pelt checked that the reeds on Snake-tooth's splint were bound tightly enough and then padded heavily across the clearing to his nest. The reeds slid apart and Mole Whisker, Lightning Pelt, and Metal Pad squeezed into a tiny space beside their sleeping friend. "We wanted to see if he was okay." Mole Whisker explained in a loud whisper. "That's up to Straw Clan to know," Metal Pelt replied. "I've done as much as I can. Now go to your own dens and let him sleep." It was too late. Snake-tooth stirred and lifted his head a little way off the pillow of moss. "Hey, guys," he croaked. Metal Pad bent over him. "How's your leg? It looked really gross." Metal Pelt flicked his tail. "You can stay for a few moments, but no more, understand?" The 3 healthy warriors looked at the medicine cat and nodded solemnly. With a grunt, Metal Pelt threaded his way between the reeds that circled his own nest and settled down. Tired as he was and getting a little deaf in his old age, he had to admit, he could still hear the warriors whispering to Snake-tooth. "You've got to get better real soon. We're going to jump into the gorge on the full moon, remember?" "Yeah, I dared you, so if you don't do it, I win." That was Metal Pad, his voice rising with excitement. "Hush," Lightning Pelt hissed. "Don't let every cat hear you. You know what the old ones are like. They never want us to have fun. They just wish they were young enough to jump into the gorge. But I bet they were brave enough to try. Not like us. Whisker sounded as if he thought he could grow wings and glide safely into the river as it thundered and foamed through the steep-sided canyon at the edge of their territory. "Look, he's gone to sleep," whispered Lightning Pelt. "Come on, let's leave him." Meadow Pelt listened to them padding away, bristling at their foolishness. His mind filled with shadows, and sleep was a long time coming. "Troutstar, may I speak with you?" It was a following day with hot, merciless sunshine bouncing off the reeds and the surface of the river. The River Clan leader opened his eyes from his doze. He was curled on a flat stone by the shore, his gray fur blending into the sun-blotched rock. "Is Snaketooth all right?" he asked anxiously. Meadow Pelt grunted. "You mean apart from having no sense at all?" "He'll live, but whether he'll be able to hunt and fight again, I'm not sure." Troutstar shook his head. "I don't know why those warriors keep doing such ridiculous things. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to go to the Moonstone and ask StarClan for advice." The gray cat looked at him in surprise. "Do you really think StarClan needs to be involved?" Meadow Pelt nodded. "Yes, I do. We have raised a whole generation of warriors who only want to amuse themselves. There aren't enough apprentices for them all to be mentors, so they're wasting time making stupid, dangerous games. They've all been hurt, but it hasn't stopped them. Did you know they're planning to jump into the gorge on the full moon?" Troutstar's tail bristled. "No, I didn't know that." Meadow Pelt, "If you think StarClan can help, then you must go. May StarClan be waiting for you with answers." It was past nightfall by the time Meadow Pelt reached the entrance to Mothermouth. The high stones jabbed angrily into the sky, black against dove gray. Meadow Pelt let his mind empty as he felt his way down the long, dark tunnel. At the bottom, the flattened egg moon made the moonstone glow brightly enough to light up the chamber. Meadow Pelt lay down at the foot of the moonstone and pressed his muzzle against the sharp, cold rock. "StarClan, please show me how to make my clanmates understand that the clan depends on them for its survival, and that they can't play like kids now that they are warriors." He closed his eyes, and at once the scent of the riverbank brushed against his fur. He could hear the water rolling past, whispering against the stones, the reeds rattling together as they were bent over by the breeze. When he opened his eyes, he found that he was lying in the center of the River Clan camp, with cats stirring softly around him, preparing for the night. With a shock, Meadow Pelt realized that he didn't recognize any of them. No, it was more that he couldn't see them clearly enough as if their faces were always in shadow, and their scents too mixed by the breeze to distinguish one cat from another. Even their voices sounded muffled, almost familiar, but not quite. He lay still with his chin on his paws and listened. "We tracked that fox to the border, so hopefully it'll stay away," one voice reported. "I'm on dawn patrol tomorrow, so I'll look out for any new scents," came the reply. "The elders are convinced it'll come back once more," meowed another voice. "They said that foxes will check out a place twice before deciding whether or not to settle. I think we should take their advice and be prepared to chase it out again. I promised I'd take all the apprentices for a fishing lesson tomorrow. Could you do a hunting patrol in my place?" "Sure, with those kits due any day, we're going to need a full fresh kill pile. Have you seen how much the queens eat when they're nursing?" There was a growl of amusement from the other cats, and Meadow Pelt purred too. Whoever these cats were, they were the kind of warriors River Clan could be proud of, brave, loyal, hard-working, and aware of how much the whole clan depended on them, from the frailest elder to the tiniest kit. Warm dawn light roused Meadow Pelt, and he sat up, blinking in the sunlit cavern. Was that it? He'd spent a night in his own clan listening to unidentified cats talk about their lives. How was that supposed to help? There was the faintest echo inside his head. A night in his own clan listening, but how does that provide me with answers of our mouse-brained warriors? Silence pressed on his ears. What was he going to tell Troutstar? A night of listening. To cats who cared about their clan, who understood their duties and took pride in doing them well. Is that what the warriors need? Meadow Pelt burst into the dazzling air and started to run down the rock-strewn hill. StarClan had given him the answer. One night, to think about being a warrior? Troutstar sounded unconvinced, and Meadow Pelt was shown to wonder if this wasn't such a great idea after all. Knowing the current River Clan cats, they just come up with a bunch of games to play in the dark. But Meadow Pelt kept his doubts to himself. The was only a day away, and with any luck, a sleepless night would at least make the warriors too tired to carry out their mouse-brained scheme of jumping into the gorge. The young cats looked startled when the Trout Star explained what they had to do. Spend one night in silent vigil, watching over the camp while their clanmates slept. And make sure you listen as well, he added sternly. The sun was already sliding down the outline of the two-leg barns beyond the willow trees, so the clan started to prepare for the night. Mole Whisker, Lightning Pelt, and Meadow Pad stayed in the middle of the clearing, looking uncertain about what they were supposed to be doing. Meadow Pelt couldn't blame them. He wasn't sure anymore that he'd understood StarClan. Meadow Pelt slid into his nest and gave in to a wave of black sleep. "Fox, wake up! Fox attack!" Meadow Pelt was on his feet and racing into the clearing before he had fully opened his eyes. The camp was bathed in cold white light, and cats were plunging out of the reeds, hissing in alarm. Meadow Pad stood in the middle of the clearing with his fur bristling. "We heard a fox! We heard a fox!" he gasped, "creeping up on the nursery! Mole Whisker and Lightning Pelt have chased it off!" Trout Star nodded to a couple of senior warriors. "Go after them. Make sure they don't try to confront the fox. We just need her to leave the territory." A white she-cat with splashes of ginger on her fur padded up to Meadow Pad. A pair of tiny kits bundled along beside her. "You saved our lives!" she exclaimed. "Thank you." "I didn't even hear the mangy old fox creeping up on—" "I didn't even hear that mangy old fox creeping up on us," squeaked one of the kits. "Yeah, even though you've got really big ears," taunted his littermate. "Have so, you look like a rabbit." Meadow Pelt patted over to Meadow Pad, who was looking rather uncomfortable at being the center of attention. "Sunspots is right. You saved her life and her kits's. You should be very proud." And Meadow Pad shuffled his paws. "It's because we were being quiet, like you said. We'd never have heard that fox if we'd been in our dens." Meadow Pelt narrowed his eyes. "Or jumping into the gorge, or climbing the great oaks have 4 trees, or chasing one another through the reeds, scaring off prey." Meadow Pad hung his head. "Yeah, I guess that was pretty mouse-brained." Just then Lightning Pelt and Mole Whisker hurtled back into the clearing, followed by the senior warriors. "We chased that fox all the way to the border," Mole Whisker panted, his eyes shining with triumph. It won't come back here in a hurry," Lightning Pelt declared. "Don't be so sure," rasped Fernley, one of the elders. "Foxes have a habit of coming back once more before they decide whether or not to settle. You need to be ready to chase it off again." Mole Whisker straightened up. "No problem," he promised. Lightning Pelt spotted a row of apprentices peering out of their den. "Hey there, I know some great fishing techniques. Would you like me to show you them today?" Meadow Pad nodded. "She's really good, honestly. I'll do your hunting patrol for you, Lightning Pelt." "Thanks. That'll be really helpful." Meadow Pelt stared. His vision was unfolding around him. Faces and scents falling into place like raindrops. A night of listening had turned these cats into warriors that River Clan would be proud of. "Thank you, Meadow Pelt," murmured a voice beside him. It was Trout Star. Meadow Pelt shrugged. "Thanks, StarClan," he mailed gruffly. "At the gathering tomorrow night, I'll suggest we add a new part of the warrior code, that all new warriors must spend one night in silent vigil, so they understand how much their clan needs them now," Trout Star went on. Meadow Pelt nodded, and inside a small worm of pride stretched and swelled satisfyingly. "Yes, make it part of the warrior code, so that all cats have a night of listening."